I get a quick show of hands who here considers themselves an artist? Just a little show of hands. Oh yeah, a couple of you. Good to see. Not that many hands. Can I ask how many of you paint or draw or write or act or sing or dance or sew or make ceramics or tell jokes or undergo any other creative process? Show of hands. There's quite a few more hands. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're an artist, mate. Congratulations. So often I will hear people shoot themselves in the foot by saying something like, oh, I'm just not creative. But I'm here today to tell you cowards otherwise. So I'm a stand-up comedian by night. By day, I prefer to sit. This isn't really my normal scene. I'm used to telling jokes in bars, and here I am doing a TED Talk in the City Gallery, so there you go. As a creative type, I'm all about taking risks. So I started doing stand-up when I was 16, and I just turned 19, so, my glory days are really behind me. Woke up on my 19th birthday, got out of bed, knees immediately gave way because I'm old now. It's tough. Waking up on my 19th birthday and realising now that I'm officially an adult and my acne still isn't gone. Cutting. Absolutely cutting. But I've always been the type to paint and act and write, and in all my years of making things, I've learned a thing or two about creativity. Creativity is both important and inherent to humans. Creativity is part of the human psyche. To be human is to be creative. Pablo Picasso said, all children are born artists. The problem is how to remain an artist once he grows up. And he's exactly right. We exercise our creativity when we make art, yes, but also when we problem solve, when we build relationships with others, when we help people, when we cook. So I thought I'd just march up here and just clear that up right off the bat. All humans are hardwired for creative thinking. Don't let me hear you say otherwise you're going to catch these hands. Just kidding. Physically, I might be able to fight you, but emotionally, imagine the toll. As well as being an inherent trait in humans, creativity is both beneficial to your physical and mental health. In 2010, a review of art therapy findings by Heather Stuckert and Jeremy Nobel was published in the American Journal of Public Health. It was titled The Connection Between Art, Healing and Public Health, and clearly showed nothing but positive outcomes for people suffering everything from chronic illness to old age to breast cancer. Throughout history, people have used art in their healing processes or rituals. Art therapy for mental and emotional health has been used for almost a century and has been recognised as an official profession since the 90s. As well as benefiting your physical and mental health, studies show that exercising your creativity can also improve your self-confidence and your problem solving. Creating helps you see things in new ways, adapt, accept, and work through failure, which is important because all of these skills that you're strengthening by creating things feed back into creation itself. That's why it's called a creative process. I don't actually know if that's why it's called a creative process, but I am on stage and I am wearing a suit, so you should probably believe me. In art, you'll try new things and you'll work and rework. You'll have failures and you'll overcome them. You'll create things you're proud of and things you aren't, but everything that you make is a good step in your own creative journey. All art is inherently risk-taking behaviour. As a form of self-expression, creativity is risk. When I was 16, I never did anything, ever. I'd lost passion for my main creative outlets and I wasn't going anywhere. One day, the class comedians program was offered to me and I took it. Getting up on stage and bearing your flaws and ideas and saying, please laugh with me, is incredibly nerve-wracking, as you can imagine. I imagine like sending off your novel to the publisher for the first time, or writing and performing an original song. But I'm an artist, and artists take risks, and now here I am calling myself a comedian, tenuously. As well as being something that keeps me creative, keeps me writing, keeps me performing, I'm lucky enough that stand-up also makes me money. Yes, I've done gigs where I've bombed, and I've told jokes I now hate, but I've also sold out 2 comedy festival shows. Human development expert and author Joseph Chilton Pearce said, to live a creative life, we must lose our sense of being wrong. And that is never truer than when you're creating art. So, you've embraced your creativity for your own well-being. Now you have to think about, what does art look like to you? Here I would encourage everyone to simply embrace themselves as much as they can in their work. You have to use your own experience. On one hand, it makes you stand out. There's going to be so many people in your industry who are trying to make it. So what makes you different? And on the other hand, seeing unique, fresh faces in the art world makes art more inclusive and accessible for everyone. For every unique perspective, background, and voice, your art world is elevated. For every new experience, there is only profit for your creative industry. Art is uniquely personal, and therefore no one can create your art like you do. This is something that comes up a lot in comedy. Comedy is dominated by straight white dudes. Bloody straight white dudes always walking in like they own the place. Like, newsflash, pal. You probably do. That's systematic inequality for you. Anyway, but here's the thing. There's only so many straight white man jokes to make, right? If I had $1 every time I've heard some 30-something guy who thinks he's funny tell me how he's single, I wouldn't have to be gigging to pay the bills anymore. For every woman, you get something new. For every queer person, you get something new. For every person of colour, you get something new. I'm a queer 19-year-old woman. I'm not what people are expecting when they go to a comedy show. And that's why I keep getting hired. My jokes are different. With each unique perspective and background and voice, the art world becomes more inclusive. The more people getting involved in art, the better art becomes. Now, this really isn't going to sound like it's relevant, but I'd like to talk about Kanye West for a minute. Bear with me. The School of the Art Institute of Chicago awarded Kanye West an honorary doctorate of art in 2015. This was met with controversy and ridicule on the internet, but let's reflect on this for a moment. For a moment, let's separate him from exclusively his music and instead think of him as a multidisciplinary artist. He has roots as a music producer. His process has always stemmed from collaboration. He's worked with renowned directors like Spike Jonze and well-awarded art and costume directors. He has directed short films. His fashion line, Yeezy, pushes boundaries around race and class, and fashion shows are choreographed to blur the line between clothing and performance art. Kanye doesn't shy away from opportunities to reinvent his image and sound, to polarize audiences, to embrace controversy, and attempt to make the art world a less elitist realm. Kanye West is an artist. And if Kanye West can be an artist, then so the bloody hell can you. Society, for the longest time, has been tied up with this idea that art is only valuable if it's good. People don't sing along to music because they're tone deaf, ignoring how much they love the feeling of doing it. People don't dance because they have 2 left feet, ignoring how much they just love to move. So many people hold the belief that their art isn't worth making or sharing because it's not good enough. But outside of technical skill, art is valuable because of the benefits of the artistic process, because of the context of the artist, and because good is inherently subjective. Pablo Picasso, arguably one of the most famous artists of the 20th century, said, "It took me 4 years to paint like Raphael, but a lifetime to paint like a child." I love this quote, partly because Raphael is my favourite of the Ninja Turtles, but also because it perfectly captures and cuts down this preoccupation with good art. He's saying that anyone can practice and learn technical excellence, but that's not always the most important thing. At 14, Picasso was painting brilliantly realistic portraits in the styles of these old masters, but that is not what Picasso is known for. He is known for his stunning, free, and abstract expressions of humanity. Now, many of you will have done this, even I have done this. You look at a piece of art that seems so simple, or pretentious, or lacking in technical excellence, and you dismiss it. You say something harmless like, "That's not real art," or even better, "I could do that." I love it when people say this. As a massive defender of modern art, minimalism, abstraction, expressionism, it sounds funny that I love it when people want to look at art and say, "I could do that." Because guess what? You totally can. That's what makes art so good. If you've ever said, "That's not real art," well, I want you to think about, what does real art look like to you? Because art is so subjective. If you figure that out, you can create it, you can paint it, you can build it, you can play it, you can live it. Most of the time, art is about making or taking meaning from something, whether that be the audience or you as the artist. So while it might not look like real art to you, if there's a reason someone would call it art, it probably is. Thank you. As an example, we can take another famed artist, Felix Gonzalez Torres. He was known in his time for works that any of us would look at and say these negative things. One of his most famous works was 2 store-bought clocks hung together on the wall, officially untitled but referred to as Perfect Lovers. I could do that. Easily reproducible, minimal technical excellence. But in context, Felix Gonzalez Torres was an openly gay man living through the AIDS crisis, and his partner was diagnosed with AIDS shortly before the first showing of this piece. These clocks show the parallel between clocks falling out of time and lovers falling out of sync. On first viewing of his now well-known untitled pile of candy, it seems almost pointless. The audience are invited to take a piece of candy and it would be replenished every day. However, the artwork, now known as Ross in LA, grows in significance with the knowledge that the pile of candy is kept at the same weight as his deceased lover. These works were more than a pair of clocks and piles of candies. They were statements against the government's inaction during the AIDS crisis because of the stigma of his time. They stem from his identity, from his society, from his context. Art does not need to be technically excellent to find meaning. Your art is important because you made it. All of this being said, art doesn't always need to have some grander purpose, some great meaning. This is something the highbrow art world doesn't want you to know, but sometimes art is for fun. Kurt Vonnegut has a fantastic quote about it. He says, "If you really want to hurt your parents and you don't have the nerve to be gay, the least you can do is go into the arts." Obviously, Kurt, some of us have the nerve to do both. Thank you. Look at me. My mother is a teacher, my father is a teacher, my brother is a teacher, and I'm a disappointment. No, I'm just joking. That's what I do for a job. Hi, welcome. He goes on to say, the arts are not a way to make a living. They are a very human way of making life more bearable. Practicing an art, no matter how well or badly, is a way to make your soul grow for heaven's sake. Sing in the shower, dance to the radio, tell stories. Write a poem to a friend, even a lousy poem. Do it as well as you possibly can. You'll get an enormous reward. You will have created something. Some people put pen to paper because they are bursting with a story they can't hold in anymore. Some people put pen to paper because they have something to build, something to explore, and some people put pen to paper because they like the way the pen feels. Art in any context relies on you. So, make bad art. Flex those creative muscles. Use your own voice and perspective because you are an artist, and that's what artists do. I'm Tui, thank you for listening.